What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about 5 stocks that you need to add to your watch list for this upcoming week that could potentially squeeze. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with this upcoming week, you have a couple data points that could really justify a continuation of this market rally that we're on. One of which is coming out on Tuesday, so that's the FOMC minutes. Historically, over the last couple kind of issuances that they've done, it's resulted in a nice rally. And so, of course, it is fair to assume, especially with Powell having several kind of speeches in between, we already know their agenda, what they generally talked on. So I think in reality, once we get the minutes, that'll cause more of a kind of push higher. But on Wednesday, you do have PCE as well as GDP. So both of which could really make or break the broader market, at least the rally that it's on. But in reality, if the data is good, this is where a lot of heavily shorted stocks could get a second wind. So starting off, stock number 5 I want to go over is VinFast, ticker's VFS. So it did go down on Friday 0.51 over the last 1 year, down 36.41%, and in 2024 down 53.05%. This is what they do. On a side note, in case you are curious, the automotive manufacturers based out of Vietnam, 15,000 employees. But based on this, 85.03% is that short score. So the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. And my top 5 is based on the short score because it is a little bit more realistic. Because for instance, if I just go based on the highest short interest stocks, well, it's no guarantee essentially for a squeeze. Whereas if you use short score is comprised of utilization, number of shares being shorted, as well as cost to borrow. So it's a little bit more realistic, in my opinion, that could where you could see a bump up in the stock price, because 6.07% of the free float is being shorted. So that's definitely not the highest stock out there, but given cost to borrow fairly high, utilization at 82, this is where once again I like to kind of look at the short score. So cost to borrow average, on a side note, is 266.65%, and generally shorts have been returning quite a lot over the last little bit, as you can kind of see based on this chart. But right over here does indicate around 8,000 shares is available to be shorted. So as what we've seen in the past, whenever you have somewhat limited supply, typically big money does come and buy for the purposes of lending out shares. Very profitable business for them, but regardless, it does add some buying pressure. And with good data possibly coming out this week, this is where you could see a push higher. So this is stock number 5. Moving on to stock number 4, ticker's IBRX. Over the last 1 year, up 21.72%, and in 2024, it is up 1.59%. This is what they generally do. So company profile, biotech, 672 employees, founded in the US. On a side note, there's a lot of good information up top here that I don't necessarily go over, and I do have a 7-day free trial for Seeking Alpha Premium, which is what I use. I absolutely love it. It has a lot of good information that you ever need to be about the company, why a stock is going up, down, sideways, whatever you need, like this does have. So I highly recommend you kind of taking advantage of that. But aside from that, it does have a short score of 95.32. So very high stuff. Cost to borrow average is 21.86. 31.3% of the free float is being shorted. And with this, shorts have actually been lingering around for a while now, ever since it looks like September. So something just to keep in mind. But 200,000 shares is available to be shorted. So definitely something to kind of add to your watch list. And on a side note, any stock that, such as this, where you have had shorts kind of just lingering, they're holding on for just survival, right? Because if you think about it, the broader market has been rallying, so they have been losing a lot, especially with this stock. It is up, I think it was like 20 something percent over the last 1 year. So definitely, eventually it'll get to a pivot point where they just decide to cut their losses and where they start to mitigate risk. So this is where you could really stand to benefit. But moving on to stock number 3, ticker is DNMR. did go up 2.77% on Friday over the last 1 year, down 84.38, and in 2024 down 83.01. So not necessarily the best, but this is what they do. So specialty chemicals, 257 employees, founded in 2004, and is based out of the US. So that's the company profile right here. But short score is 96.82, so fairly high stuff, and this is kind of what the market does like to squeeze. Kind of heavily shorted and low float, so 508.82 thousand shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is fairly high, so 256.97%, and then through IBKR does indicate around 30,000 shares is available. So like I said, you could see that level of buying just so entities do kind of blend out shares. So something to once again add to your watch list. Moving on to stock number 2, tickers FTEL, did go up 5.79% on Friday over the last 1 year, up a very impressive 1,031%. In 2024, up 1,500%. So this is definitely one that you just need to research in general. But aside from that, other specialty retail, 12 employees, founded in 2005, based out of Australia. And right now, short score is 98.11%. 24.58% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 1.15 million shares. Cost to borrow average is 163.4%, and then utilization is 100%. Through IBKR does indicate around 65,000 shares is available, but kind of goes back and forth, and this is exactly a good example on how it does jump up. So kind of jumped up from roughly 2,000 to around 85 because some large entity must have bought for the purposes of lending out shares. So in reality, 65,000 is relatively still small. So you could see more continuation of buying, but this is very, very impressive behind the scenes of this stock performance. So up 1,500 just in 2024 alone. So this is another one that you need to add to your watch list. And then moving on to stock number 1, you have BYND, my favorite squeeze stock, or at least it was back in the day. Over the last 1 year, it is down 25.91%, and in 2024 down 45.06. This is what they do. In case you don't know what BYND does, so packaged foods and meats, 686 employees, founded in 2008, based out of the US, but 99.05% is that short score. Because if you think about it, utilization is at 100%, 43% of the free float is being shorted, very high for that, and then cost to borrow average is 72.76%. All very high, and this is why it is number 1, because it's yeah, it's a good chance of a squeeze. Like I said, with the broader market really pushing it higher, it is one of those things that you need to just be aware of. And it does have options. A lot of these stocks have options as well that you can also benefit from. And just generally, shorts have been really lingering / getting in over the last little bit. So it looks like the low was roughly 37%. And that was kind of in August, had a abnormal spike to 49%. But yeah, based on this as well, on a side note, does indicate around 100,000 shares is available to be shorted. So let me know your thoughts on the top 5. Do you own any of them? Is there any other stocks that you feel is a squeeze this upcoming week, and potentially why? So don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing I wanted to share with you, I did launch a Patreon where I'm giving buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. They have been absolute home runs. So pop over there, take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.